Chicago white liberals are very far to the left, as you mentioned, around the universities and things like that. So for them, they hate conservatives. I'm generalizing, of course. There are some conservatives, there are some Republicans, but they would never be caught dead voting for a Republican, and yet they're stuck in this kind of racial vortex where they're living in a city where they basically have this democracy that doesn't work. Yes, they threw out the bad mayor, but they're going to get someone who's possibly even worse.
Let's pull this image back up. You can see it right here. And I have one thing to say to this. Actually, let me ask you, Joel, does that screenshot anger you in any way? Does it make you angry?
Absolutely.
It does.
It's awful that anybody gets beaten up like that. And
well, I got to stop you right there. Do you not believe that women have the right to vote?
Of course they do.
Okay, well then why are you angry? Are you angry that this woman's choice you think is wrong? No. I respect this woman's right to choose. And if she voted for this, well, who am I to be angry that she's getting what she voted for? Right? Women have agency. They can vote for whatever they want. And I believe that if I were to make a wager on who she voted for, likely she voted for the Democrats. She probably voted for Brandon Johnson. I mean, that's the most likely outcome. The guy won. So my view is this. Obviously, no one seriously wants anyone to get attacked like that. But at a certain point, I have to say, I will not project my values onto someone else. We will go and vote. And then if you are successful in, supporting your ideas, you win. I look at the people of Chicago with all the rioting and the looting, the vandalism, the chaos and the shootings. And I'm just like, once again, the people of Chicago have gotten what they voted for. Why should I be upset about that? I don't live there. Like if a bunch of people in France voted to make it so that everybody gets a free baguette in the morning, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to cry and scream and demand an end to socialism. I'm like, I don't live in France. So let them vote for what they want.
The tragedy is that so many people who just want to live regular lives are leaving these places, so there's almost no prospect of political change. And it's possible you might have seen Republican candidates, for example, do better in the midterms in some of the blue states of the Northeast if more people hadn't moved to Florida. And, good for them. But these places are not benefiting from democracy because, yes, they can sometimes get rid of the worst candidates, but they can't elect anyone who's going to make a difference and make anything better. And so there's this vortex in these cities and states that are just going to continue to fail. And what you saw this week with the House Judiciary Committee having those hearings on crime in New York was that, as Mark Levin pointed out, it took a House Republican majority to give voice to these Democratic voters in New York City who had been ignored by their own party for decades and who finally had a chance to tell their story. And all Democrats could tell them was that they were props for Donald Trump.
That is hilarious.
Smart, brilliant, masterful move by Republicans to say, we're going to come in here and we're going to try and address the issues that are concerning to you. Brilliant.
Yeah, and it took them to do it, but there's no mechanism in these cities to make these people's lives any better. And yes, they keep voting in the same governments, but they're not really presented with choices.
Well, let me ask you, are you for Trump or DeSantis?
Trump right now.
Trump. If Trump gets elected in 2024, and then as soon as he's inaugurated in 2025, he immediately begins arresting these politicians in New York and Chicago and LA and SF, and then appointing interim government, would that be a bad thing?
I don't think he should arrest them, but I think he can...
Like Cuomo?
Cuomo, well, which one? The
politician,
the former governor?
Yeah.
He's sort of...
He killed a bunch of people in nursing homes.
Well, okay. I think it's tough to call for the arrest of the opposition, but I think he could certainly take legal action against these cities. One thing I wish he would do or would have done in LA.
But let
me just finish the thought. I think there are other things the federal government can do that have nothing to do with dealing with opposition politicians. I think FEMA should come into LA and declare it a disaster for the homeless problem. It's the only way we're going to solve the homeless problem is to get that level of intervention.
But my question was, would it be a bad thing?
I think so. I think you can't arrest the opposition.